All right. And then if we are good to go, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Thank you all for coming. I know that our guest speaker is currently at another function making the rounds. He said he'll be here in just a few moments, so we will recognize him when he comes in. Do we have any other guests this evening? I don't see any in chat. Looks like everyone is a member or alternate. Tom, looks like Tom's already out. Okay, we will forego the land acknowledgement for this evening because I don't have it up. Margie, my understanding is that the District 4 caucus over the weekend, do you have a nomination to fill the vacancy?
Yes, we met and we would like to nominate Ian Arnold to fill the vacancy.
Okay. All right. Don't see that he is here. So, but we will go ahead and act. Well, as soon as I can get it to give me the launch the polls. One more time. All right. I see technology is not being my friend today. I will enter with the motion being put on the floor. Will all in favor please say aye to the appointment of Ian Arnold to the vacancy?
Aye.
All right. Are there any opposed? Monica, I saw your hand momentarily. Was that voting yes or no? You're on mute. You're still on mute.
Yep, there. Okay. That's why I put my hand up. That's a yes.
Okay. Just wanted
Got
to
it.
confirm. All right. It is unanimous that Ian Arnold is appointed to fill the vacancy. And when he is next in attendance, we will swear him in. All right. Next, we have on the agenda the approval of the minutes.
This is Lynette. I move approval.
All right. Is there a second?
Miguel, I second.
All right. Again, since polls aren't working for me, all in favor, please say aye. Or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
Don, I'm abstaining. I couldn't read them. I couldn't get it open.
Okay. The record reflects that Paula Bauer is abstaining.
I also want to abstain because I couldn't read it either in time.
Okay. So we have Paula and Pat are abstaining. And moving on to the agenda, is there any additions, corrections, or deletions to tonight's agenda? Steve, is your hand up?
Yes, it is. Thanks, Don. Have we taken any action, or has the legislative committee taken any action having to do with asking for a change in the number of signatures needed to trigger a special election in school board races?
We will be discussing that tonight. They have, it's
Okay.
included in their report.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any
I
other?
move to approve the agenda. This is Paula.
Okay, is there a
I'll
second?
second. It's carried.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Say
Aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
As soon as everyone with their hand up puts them down. All those opposed? I am seeing no hands up. So it passes unanimously, and that takes us to our guest speaker. As we've done with the previous two meetings, we are hearing from the publicly announced Democratic candidates for state Senate. We do know that there are people from other parties running, and a candidate who filed a 501 but hasn't done anything beyond that. So till they actually act, we're going to ignore them. So tonight's speaker is the former mayor of West Sacramento, Christopher Cabaldon, and he will have, as all of our candidates have had, 10 minutes for his presentation. I did say West Sacramento, I hope. And followed by 10 minutes for Q&A. So 5 minutes for your presentation, 10 minutes for your Q&A. I'll start the clock when you begin speaking.
Right, Don, thank you so much. And it's great to see everyone. We've been doing this a lot together, at least many of us. So I am Christopher Cabaldon, and it's great to be with you. I was on the YOLO Central Committee for almost 15 years. So this is a very familiar, although we were never virtual during my time. I joined that Central Committee after being a volunteer in my local club, then the County Central Committee and the State Central Committee, and ultimately the DNC. I very much believe in the importance and sometimes the truth telling that occurs in among activists in the party, and so really value and appreciate the fact that you're all spending so much time tonight on this and many other times as well. I also had the chance at the very end of my time as mayor to serve on the DNC, and I've seen a lot of clubs and central committees around the country as well, and I'm so proud of the really outstanding activist clubs that we have in this district and in Solano County. So anyway, thanks for having me here. I have been the mayor. I was mayor of West Sacramento for just over 20 years, and I came into office with big dreams. I had worked in the Capitol for the chair of the Democratic Caucus, and had gotten a job there working for, you're all too young, but for Tom Hayden, who was a new assembly member at that time. And I was working on higher education and on this thing called global warming before anybody but Tom Hayden and maybe Jane Fonda knew what it was in California. And it really cut my teeth in the marriage between activism, progressive activism, and actual policymaking, rolling briefly. Then how do you do it? How do you use the tools of government and the legislature and the budget and audits and legislative hearings to really make change happen? And I worked on a lot of civil rights and education issues in the Capitol, but really found my voice in my own community, which was struggling. We were one of the poorest cities in the region, and with so many challenges, and the biggest one being we had zero hope. We just thought that this is what a town that's kind of poor, working class, mostly immigrants. It's a good city, but it's as good as it's ever going to get, and we shouldn't hope for more. That would be silly. And instead, what we've done over the last 20 years is one of the most miraculous transformations of a community in the country. At least that's what Barack Obama said. Without anybody being displaced, nobody left. we have some new neighbors, but it's a much cleaner community as we've removed a lot of heavy polluters in some of the poorest neighborhoods in our community. It's a city that has got one of the strongest, most comprehensive education programs in all of America, where every child gets universal preschool, college savings accounts, guaranteed paid internships, free community college, and college scholarships based on community service. We've built more housing than almost anyone. We're number 12 in the state in housing production and one of the first state 7 pro-housing communities in the state. So I know government can work. I know public policy matters because I've seen it. I've been a part of it in these different roles. And I know from my own community and from being in every community of the 3rd Senate District, how similar our communities all are. We want breathable air. We want a place where we can be proud to raise our families. We want inclusive communities. We want our daughter to come back from the Air Force and find a place to live in the community that we're in. These are common from Calistoga to Benicia to West Sacramento to Woodland to Dixon to Vacaville to everywhere in the district. And I'm excited to step up to try to be a champion. I know it's more than just being a city council member, but with a slightly larger stage. It is not a big city council. The legislature of the 4th largest economy in the world has a moral duty to be a voice in the country and on the planet, frankly, for aggressive work to combat climate change, for strong protections for exactly the communities and the people that are under attack in so many other states, and frankly in many communities within California. That the legislature has to be both. We have to figure out how to get the grant programs right so that we can build affordable housing. And we also have to step up and fight for reproductive freedom and to protect transgender kids with just as much energy and gusto. And that is sometimes lost in the Capitol. There are people who are good at lifting up the hood and working on the mechanics, and others who are great at the soaring speeches and the rallies. And we need both. And our district is a great example of how important those issues are. Today, I've spent most of the day working on the Flannery issue. I know I've been working, thanks again, Karen, Bryant Rogers for turning me onto this, but I've been working with many of you on this and many other issues that are local to our community. And this one is a great example of what happens when the law doesn't provide for corporate accountability, for transparency, and how many things can go wrong in communities and how many threats can be so real for people. Whether it's jobs or farms or food security or water or breathable air or land or habitat can go wrong by the actions of a single shadowy company. However this issue turns out,
so.
All right. However this issue turns out, we have to get the laws right in order to make sure it doesn't happen again. I'm committed to being a champion for it. So thanks for having me here tonight.
All right. Thank you so much. If you have a question for Christopher, please drop it in the chat so that it can be asked. First question, why do you have a history of not working with labor?
Actually, just left asked me just now. My career has been working very closely with and in labor. I started in politics. Some of you know as a racial justice organizer in Los Angeles as a high school student and junior high school student. But when I got to Berkeley, I was a campus great boycott organizer for the UFW. Then I was responsible for organizing student workers back when that was illegal across university campuses, public university campuses in California. I was active fighting inside of the negotiations for AFSCME and for AFT. That was just in college. When I left college, I did join the labor committee in the legislature with Assemblyman Hayden to tackle the broad range of labor laws, but also to be out on the line, working directly with unions and folks in my own community. Worked hard with AFSCME and others on contracting out issues at the university with the building. We were the first city in our region to adopt a project labor agreement. So over and over and over again across the board, I've had a longstanding relationship with a wide swath of the labor movement. So that's the history I'm proud of, and I think it's absolutely critical going forward because so many of these issues are about getting the balance of power right. And right now it's so warped in favor of the wealthy and the powerful, and as we've seen in this particular issue today, shadowy corporations. And it is critical that the legislature pass the right laws, but also stand up for people and for economic equality and for worker voice and labor power.
The next question, given the latest possibility of the Flannery Group land banking purchase embarking on the creation of a new city in Solano County, how does that impact any of the actions to dig more and unveil the developer's identity?
Yeah, thanks, Karen. I think this is a really important question. And some folks have basically let down their guard on Flannery and said, well, okay, maybe it's not a threat to national security. It's just a big, gigantic developer wanting to build an entire new city in Solano County. And we can't let our guard down. We have to be even more vigilant. Number one, because we actually don't know that this is true. It's not as though some application has been submitted. We just know from a poll about what potentially someone's intentions are, but that's not the same as an actual application. But even if it were, the notion, and I'm a huge supporter of building additional housing. If the developers here are trying to create affordable housing for thousands and thousands of Californians and residents in our counties, then we should give them a hearing. But the notion that you can, before any hearing, any public engagement, any public policy, in fact, contrary to the public policies that the voters have adopted through the Orderly Growth Initiative in Solano County, that notwithstanding that you can just come in and buy up all the land, all of it, much more even than the maps that we saw 2 months ago, sue anybody that won't sell to you, and then just demand that you get an entire new city. That is an example of what's wrong with so much of our public policy. And so the identity of the developers here really is critical. There's actually a global movement of the super wealthy. I think it's called either the new city movement or the private city movement. And they have this view that if we could just leave society behind and create cities on our own, just out of nothing, that we could avoid all the problems of modern civilization. And the hubris to think that you've earned the right to do that. Number one, has to, we have to stand up and make clear that's not going to happen. We're not going to allow that to happen. And number two, the fact that some of our laws allow even for this level of not just a lack of transparency, but aggressive action against the residents of Solano County has to be taken into account. So more to come on this for sure, but we have to know who's behind it. And then we've got to really, get our house in order around the Travis overlay that the Board of Supervisors adopted earlier this year was an important step. We have a lot of other tools through the Water Agency and others to be able to exercise some accountability, but it's going to take a concerted effort by government to make sure that what happens with this property is not preordained by this large property purchase, and instead it's still undertaken in the public interest with the public's decision.
What is your opinion on transportation-oriented development?
Oh, I'm a gigantic fan of transit-oriented development, which is to say that we should be focusing on connecting how we build transit lines, transit systems, whether it's the ferry in Vallejo or BART or the Capital Corridor Service or our everyday bus lines, that those offer great opportunities for higher density housing because they provide more connectivity. But also the reverse is true, that if we're going to build the kinds of diverse housing options and choices that Jeanette and Steve and council members throughout the county are considering, they have to have access to high quality transit. And that's not magic. It takes the right number of people to do that. And so once you decide you're going to build that style of housing, we have to make sure that the transit supports it. Right now, the state's not supporting it properly. The state says, yes, we should have transit-oriented development, and therefore we're going to give all the special incentives and the extra money to housing projects that are within walking distance of a transit line that runs every 15 minutes. Well, I'm here to tell you there isn't 2 square inches of the 3rd Senate District of Solano County, Yolo, or any of their other counties in the district. There aren't 2 square inches that have every 15-minute transit service. So that's basically just saying that all that state money is just for San Francisco, LA, and Alameda and a few other counties. So yes, I'm a big supporter of transit-oriented development, and we have to make sure that the state policies that are intended to support it really work in communities like Dixon and Rio Vista and Woodland and West Sacramento and Fairfield and Sassoon and the rest of our district.
Can you speak to your history of charter school advocacy?
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. In the early part of the 2000s, some of you may remember Gary Hart, who was not the Gary Hart from the scandals at the national level, but Gary Hart was one of the most influential senators for education in California. He had this idea and he wrote this law that allowed for charter schools to happen, and they were not happening at the beginning of that decade. And some charter school advocates joined with the Teachers Association to jointly sponsor the ballot initiative that all of us now know that lowered the vote threshold for school bonds down to 55%. That was a major breakthrough. And part of that agreement, part of that napkin deal, was that the first charter schools could open as well. So I, at the recommendation of CTA's former political director, I took the job to help make that real with folks that were advocating for charter schools at the time. In the end, that coalition couldn't hold together. So I left. There just wasn't what made it possible in 2004 was no longer possible by 2006 or 2008. Sometimes coalitions don't survive. So that was the last time I worked as an advocate in that space. We have had one charter school created in my own community, which is a dependent charter school only, and it's a dual enrollment middle college high school. I know there have been efforts in my own county and in fact just opened a charter school that I haven't been part of, but it was opened. It's led by the building trades in the Sacramento region, who opened up a brand new charter school. But that I've not been a part of those efforts locally here. I'm concerned about enrollment right now. This is not the same situation as the early 2000s. Too many schools and colleges in our community colleges in our district are facing declining enrollment, which has major implications for all kinds of stuff, but most important being money. And charters are a part of that. But right now, the bigger challenge is from a gigantic uptick in homeschooling. And it's related to a lot of the culture war issues and other things that you all are aware of. That is a major issue. And the other is that in many states, and we're starting to see this being proposed by potential ballot initiative folks in California, is a thing called education savings accounts, which is just a 3 words for vouchers, basically. And I think it's absolutely critical that on both of these that we fight very hard to protect public school enrollment, stop the education savings accounts or the vouchers from infiltrating in California, and bring kids back into the public schools from homeschooling in order to support a high quality public school system that is the foundation of our democracy.
Okay, we have 10 seconds left, so I think rather than go way over the time, we will have to send you the rest of these questions and have you answer them by email, Christopher. But thank you so much for being here. If you'd be so kind as to drop your contact information in chat so that our members can follow up with you if they have questions of their own that they want to get answered or learn more about your campaign.
Happy to do it. Thanks for having me tonight.
All right. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. And no doubt we will see you on the trail. Okay, we are 7:25. Moving on to public comment. This is for guests to our meeting. All comments are limited to 2 minutes. An additional time may not be granted. Comment period may not exceed 30 minutes total. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment at this time? If so, please raise your hand. Not seeing any hands raised. Not seeing it. So with that, we will go ahead and close public comment at 7:26. Do we have any announcements that anyone wishes to make? such as an upcoming anniversary dinner that you might want to publicize, Jeannie?
Hey, everyone. Thank you, Dawn, for letting me have the opportunity to speak. I really appreciate it. I am super excited, and I know that everyone on the Northern Solano Democratic Club e-board is equally as excited to be able to talk to you a little bit about our 71st anniversary event that we are going to be having on Saturday, September 30th. At the Joseph A. Nelson Center in Suisun City. We're going to have a dinner, we're going to have a no-host bar, and we're going to have featured speakers talking about grassroots activism and their partnerships with the Northern Solano Democratic Club. We would love to have a lot of you come. This is a really big deal for us, and we're really excited that we are still alive and kicking 71 years later, and we would like to celebrate with you. I'm going to ask Dawn if I can get the addresses of the people on the central committee that I can send an invitation to each and every one of you, and I hope that you'll all come and celebrate with us. Thanks, Dawn, for giving me the chance to speak.
All right, thank you. Kevin, your hand's up.
Yes, we still have tickets for our wine tour raffle. This is the first time we're doing it. And we hope that as many of you as possible would support our raffle. There are only 100 tickets available. They are $50, but it includes tastings at 3 wineries plus lunch at Mankus Grill. And you can either go to our Facebook page under events and find the link there, or you can go to Act Blue, and under our link there, you can go to our wine tour. I will be your driver, and it is up to the winning individual, and they can bring up to 4 guests. That's it. And and on Saturday, I will be at the Hog August Bites in downtown Rio Vista. I'm bringing my car as part of the car show to let people see what they get to ride in. Thanks, Don.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Any other announcements? I'm not seeing any hands. So with that, we going to our treasurer's report. Yeah, all right. I will attempt to share the report, and once it's up, you can
Okay.
present. All right, hopefully you're all seeing the treasurer's report.
Good. Yeah, it's up and it looks good. Okay. We might have to roll it as we continue to go through. Okay, so for this month, our August treasurer's report, we have in our federal account a beginning balance of $2,003.10. And out of that, in addition to that, we're adding allocation transfers of $1,899.44. The second transfer for $1,151.23. And when added to our beginning balance, we have a total of $5,053.77. Going on to our debits, we have the business services, River City Business Services, with the $683.17 bill. Our storage went up, our storage went up a little bit. All of them are going up, and it's now $143.96. Insurance, which we just passed from the from CADM. Our insurance bill was $663. And then we did a reimbursement, barbecue reimbursement for $220.89. Right, and that totaled $3,342.75 as our ending balance when we subtracted the two. Okay, going to our state account, beginning balance of $6,703.70. Credits of $25. We had an ActBlue contribution, bringing that balance to $6,728.70 for our credits. Looking at the debits, the allocation transfers that we transferred out of the state account into the federal account, the $1,899.44, and then the $1,151.23. And then we had to pay for ActBlue technical fees, and that totaled $3,051.60. And so when we subtracted that, we had from our beginning balance of the $6,728.70, we had an ending balance of $3,677.04. So when we combine both our state balance and our federal balance, we have an ending balance of $7,019.79. Okay, any questions on that?
Paula, I saw your hand up earlier. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. So our storage unit went from $108 to $143 a month
Yeah, I did.
for the same size storage unit.
For the same existing storage unit, we didn't change it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any
Things are
other,
going up on at exorbitant pricings, but yep, that's it.
okay, were there any other questions on the treasurer's report? Seeing no other hands, before I forget to do it yet again, let's swear in our newest member, Ian Arnold. So Ian, give me just a second to share. And if you would first raise your hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do you solemnly swear
I, Ian Arnold, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
All right. Welcome, Ian. And you've been sworn in. Now you get to be sworn out, as the old saying has it. And we look forward to your service, particularly as we plan for our awards dinner and crab feeds and other opportunities for you to put on your barmaid's uniform again.
There we go.
All right. Other officers' reports. There's most of what I have to share with you we'll be talking about later on in various reports. So I will forego my report at this time. Northern Vice Chair, do you have anything to report? Or did you? I guess she's dropped off. All right. And I know our Southern Vice Chair is absent. All right. Secretary, do you have anything to report?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. And for those of you who did not join us right at the beginning of the meeting, our information resource officer is working this evening. Finally, our parliamentarian, do you have anything to report tonight?
Nope.
Okay, that keeps it simple. Elected officials reports. I believe I saw the Congressman Thompson's report earlier being emailed out, and Senator Dodd's report. Do we have anyone that has a report from Assemblymember Wilson? Seeing none. And I saw the report from Supervisor Williams. Supervisor Brown, do you have a report that you wish to make?
Second. A new computer, that's all I can say. Yesterday was a very contentious board meeting that started at 9 and ended at 2:30. Wanda and I voted no at what they wanted to do with Wood Creek again and Suisun Valley. So we'll keep you informed of stuff that's going on, which I thought we had taken care of. Flannery, you guys have heard all that. Now, I'm going to pronounce her name wrong, but Nathalie did a wonderful job going through what's happening with Flannery and the questions that they asked. Lots of the normal kind of stuff going on. So that's it. Life is done.
All right, thank you. Moving on to our club reports. Is there a representative from the Community Democratic Club with us this evening? Don't see a hand. Don't see Matthew. Is there anyone who has a report for the Jewish Democratic Club? All right, the Northern Democratic Club.
Don?
Yes.
Hey, Matthew contacted me. He and Susan had a last minute work thing and couldn't make it, but they just said to say that there was no meeting this month, so there's no report, but there will be a meeting next month and they'll have information coming out about that.
All right.
Thank you.
Progressive Democrats of Benicia.
Thank you, Chair. I just sent Corey our report. Sorry to be late. It's been
And I can
very,
send out to everyone.
All right.
thanks.
Thank you. And the Rio Vista Democratic Club, I believe I saw your report come out earlier. Yep.
Yes, we did. We sent it in.
Is there anyone reporting from the Sankofa Democratic Club? Seeing none. Solano Democratic Workers Alliance.
Hi there, Don. Glenn Lovell from SDWA. Just really quick, next meeting should be on schedule for September 28th. August meeting may be difficult with many of us that are involved for the upcoming Labor Day breakfast. And so on schedule for September 28th, probably as a larger in-person meeting, talking of areas of intersection, solidarity between labor movement and Democratic Party. I know a number of our members stayed active on the recent e-board meeting and remain plugged in on the standing committees and keeping our eyes out for areas where local Democratic Party could, of course, advocate for useful measures at state level that could support our efforts in the 2024 cycle. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Again, Tom is not with us. Does anyone have a report from the Stonewall Democratic Club? Seeing no hands. And I'm looking. Did we receive a report from the United Dems? I'm not.
Yes, we sent it in.
There it is. I see it. All right. All right. So that covers all of our clubs. Thank you all. Standing committees. Next up, the fundraising committee and the awards dinner is top of the agenda for that. So who's giving that report?
Well, I can just say that we, at the last meeting, I said that I would set it up and I failed to do so, but we have something set up for next week on August 30th, I believe, at 7. So Tom, I'll need some help setting that up, I guess, through that. And that's just for the awards part, because the fundraising committee has already got the avenues secured and things, but that part would be the awards. And I guess unless we hear otherwise, we will just open it up to the clubs as in the past, and some clubs participate, some don't, but we just need to get the information out to them. And then I think the award winners were sent out and the categories for the awards. So just to be thinking about that, because we'll probably need to be voting on that. And if we don't have a meeting in November, like we usually don't, we might have to vote at the October meeting. That's what I've got. And we have not met, but we will meet hopefully on the 30th. And that's Vernile, Lynette, Jeanette, Margie, and Tom. I don't know if you're on the committee or just helping set it up. And we're open to anyone else who wants to participate. And Bridget.
Okay, well, thank you for the awards committee report. Jumping back to the fundraising side of it, Julia, are you have anything
Yeah,
to share?
I can speak to it a little bit. So right now we are still working on solidification of a date. Everybody was sent a poll. As soon as we have the poll outcome, we will go ahead and reserve the venue. And yeah, so everything is kind of tracking along on that. We just really need to get that date down. So if you have not voted on the poll that Tom sent out, please do so. And we just want to make sure that as many people as possible are available to go.
All right, sounds good. Moving on to the legislation. We saw her here. Bonnie, you have a report for us?
Yes, hi everyone. Dawn, do you mind allowing me to share my screen?
Give me 1 second here. Let me make
That'll be easier.
Oops. Okay, and you should be able to share.
Did I just stop the I might have. There we go.
You should be able to share your screen.
Great. Hang on just a second. So everyone, I did submit my report a little bit late. I was on a plane from San Diego, but sent it off to Corey. So just wanted to, there's quite a bit to, oh no, that's the wrong, that is our agenda. Hold on. There you go. Can you all see that okay? The legislative committee agenda. There we go. Let's try this again. There you go. Okay. So we met on Monday because I was in Cabo being chased by Hurricane Hillary, and she chased me all the way to San Diego, which was, so we had quite an adventure, but we had quite a lot of good things to discuss. Our first discussion, action, and recommendation item was based on the Central Committee motion from last meeting to revisit the issue of low signature thresholds for special elections and to prepare recommendations. So we did such, and basically we recommend that the Central Committee seeks an author for a 2024 bill that would raise the threshold for petition signature requirements for local special elections, including school board. I didn't want to get too much into the micromanaging how that legislation might look, but it could be modeled after last year's Cortese bill, SB 1170. I had talked to his office already to see if he would be interested to carry such a bill again. And they said get back to them in September when the legislative session is over for this year. I also sent information to Tiffany, who shared it with Assemblymember Wilson's staff, other staff, legislative staff, around possibly carrying a bill. And I think that would be very appropriate since this is something that's affecting her district. We also recommend that we elicit support for this proposed legislation from other Democratic Central Committees in Region 3 and with the help of our regional director, as well as ask other potential stakeholders to support the proposed legislation. So that is our recommendation. Any questions or discussion through the chair?
Okay, if anyone has any discussion on this, please raise your hand. If not, I think would like to have everyone just help us as we present this forward. We will be carrying this back to the region meeting and reaching out to our local legislators as well as others, as Bonnie said, to whether it's reintroducing 1170 or some variation thereof to move this forward, since we are now facing our third special election this year because of the current language. It's obviously important to us, and I know that it's been discussed in several other counties as well. This is an important issue. So unless anyone has any objections, we will be moving forward with soliciting support for this change.
All right. I don't know if we need to vote or if there's no objection, we can move on.
Let's go ahead and move on since I saw no objection.
Okay. The second issue was that to direct me to develop a template email and phone script for our members to send to our state elected representatives and or pertinent committee members, and encourage our members to email, call said representatives to ask for a yes vote in support of our endorsed bills. So basically, I can come up with a template that has contact information. You can either call or email or both to our representatives to ask them to support our bills. And we could just list the bills in mass and send it off. But that was the other thing we discussed and recommended.
Again, I think unless there's any objection to this, let's as soon as Bonnie has prepared that and sends that out, I'd like to encourage all of you to follow up with our legislatures and with the relevant committees on the bills that we have adopted as a committee, particularly those, obviously those particular pieces that you feel strongly about, but it would help to share your individual voices along with our letters, which have already gone in on these committees. So I want to take the time to thank Bonnie and the entire committee for all their hard work this year. They've been very active. I'm not sure how many bills that the committee has recommended for approval, but it's certainly been quite a number of them. So
it's so the number, here's the summary. So we have 30 active support bills. ACA 5 was already chaptered. That would bring a marriage equality referendum in 2024 to cauterize marriage equality. And then our one opposed bill is now a 2-year bill, so it's no longer viable, at least not this year. And and then just the other thing we talked a little bit, we touched base a little bit about Flannery. About the other thing is about, we had a lot of discussion about the Montezuma carbon capture and storage project, which is going to, if it goes through, it would significantly affect us and the Delta and the Sassoon Marsh. This is where it would be proposed to go through. So it would really be a huge issue for mucking up the wetlands in Solano County. So just to throw that out there, and Christopher is aware of that, Christopher Kowalden. So just to keep that in mind, here's our bills. It's all in your report. I hope I'm not making folks dizzy. Here is the legislative calendar. So we have until September 14th for all the bills to be passed to go to the governor's desk. And that's where we are at this point. And so I see a hand up, Chair Lowry.
Carrie, I see your hands up.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Bonnie. I just want to say that this Montezuma pipeline, CCS pipeline, is a double whammy for our environment and our communities, because it not only perpetuates the fossil fuel industry profiting, but it also degrades our wetlands and an opportunity for our environment to be resilient against climate change. And so I, for one, am busy, but I want to make this a priority because it impacts our local community and our local environment. And so I really want to just highlight the fact that this is a kind of a big deal, and I hope that we can make this a priority moving forward. Thank you.
And perhaps if this does start to move forward, you know, the plan would be to get it before it moves off the ground, basically. But maybe there could be a potential for legislation around this. So if there aren't any other questions, thank you very much for your time, and thank you to the committee. Thank you to Chair Lowry for all his support as well.
All right, thank you. Go ahead and stop sharing on that. Moving on to our outreach committee report. Do we have any report this month?
Most of the outreach work has been with fundraising this month. I think right now, while we're kind of in money raising mode, outreach is kind of a little bit on back burner. But if anybody has any ideas for outreach that we should be getting into, just let me know.
All right, thank you very much. Certainly, we are having lots of opportunities for outreach with partner organizations, for better or worse, given the climate. And that brings us to our business. The Vacaville School Board special elections updates. For those of you who did not see my email earlier this evening, the second special election in the Vacaville School District has been called. That group has successfully petitioned against the appointment of Amy Russell. The special election for trustee area 6 will be December 19th. So while everyone is out shopping, we'll be trying to get people to vote. And of course, we also have our election currently underway for Dave McCollum. So Dave, Corey, which of you wants to kick off the report on the trustee area 4 election?
Oh, Dave, you're the candidate. You want to do it?
Sure, I can just give you a brief update.
Awesome.
First, I think it would be very helpful, since the same thing is happening in area 6 to Amy as they're doing in area 4 to me, for us to really keep our messaging consistent about the incredible waste of taxpayer money, and the notion that it's way too easy just for sore losers to affect well, a lot of just real turmoil in the district, and that means we need to support that legislation, which would raise that threshold of signatures. But in the meantime, getting the word out to individuals to help Amy and me would just be social media posts, letters to the editor, talking about the ridiculousness of this, considering the fact that the next election for both these seats is going to be November of 2024. So it is literally 14 months after the special election in Area 4. We'll be doing it all over again, and only 11 months after the special election in Area 6, we're going to be doing it all over again. So I think if we can get that message out there to everyone consistently, and the voters will see that it's a pretty outrageous and ridiculous thing to have to put the community through. In terms of my own race, what we're doing right now, we have digital ads running in Area 4. We do have signs up. I want to thank everyone who's done such hard work, and thank you, Monica, for paying for a number of signs. Thank you to Jeannie and all of the walkers. VTA has helped out a tremendous amount in getting literature out there and walking precincts. And I've kind of taken the big country areas where I live, and that's something. It's not really walking precincts, it's driving precincts, since there's such great distances between houses in the rural areas. But that's kind of my bailiwick, while everyone else takes the more populated regions. But thank you all very much. A lot of ads going, a lot of social media posts, and I appreciate all your support. We're less than 3 weeks away now. It was 3 weeks yesterday, and I hope that we can pull this off, and ideally make it not just a victory, but a decisive victory to kind of put the kibosh on this type of behavior.
Awesome. Dawn, may I jump in and do my part?
Of course.
Awesome. Thank you. Faculty teachers have been very, very, very busy during these 2 special elections. I just dropped a link into the chat. We are holding walks every week between now, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday between now and the election. Couple of things to share. This has actually now become a bipartisan issue. We have had folks on the other side of the aisle line up and support Dave for his candidacy, because regardless of who you are, regardless of where you think about this, taking $125,000 and potentially $225,000 out of the general fund meant to educate children, as a teacher in that district, it's just offensive beyond words. So the link is in the chat. Please sign up for a walk whenever you can. If folks in this committee could get out there and talk with folks up in Area 4 and help to get that done, we would very much appreciate it. That's pretty much everything for Area 4. We sent off 4 mailers. We are working with our other allies in the community to have more contact with the voters. We are doing our best to nip this in the bud. I think we have a good chance of pulling it off. Don, you mind if I jump over to Area 6? Cool. Area 6, as you guys all saw, went live as of Monday. Faculty Teachers Association endorsed yesterday Amy Trent Russell. She will be declaring and pulling papers probably this coming Monday, and we'll make our endorsement, make a bigger show of it at that point as well. There's all sorts of things happening in that particular race, which probably don't rise to the level of being shared with this committee. But as the PAC chair for the Faculty Teachers Association, I'm going to be very, very busy between now and December. And I thank everyone in this room for their support. More to follow. Thank you.
Let me unmute myself. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate that. The filing period for that Area 6 race ends September 22nd, which is prior to our next Central Committee meeting. So unless there is any strong objection, I would like for us to place consideration of endorsements in Trustee Area 6 on the September agenda, so that we can hopefully have a good Democrat to endorse and continue to push back against these moms against liberty, or whatever they call themselves, and fight that election. So I'm not seeing anybody raising their hand to object. So that will be on our agenda. And as I said, that election's happening the week before Christmas. So for those of you who haven't already booked your tickets out of the area for the holidays, I would encourage you to stick around and give a day or two of your holiday time to helping our endorsed candidate in that race as well. This is a critical situation. had conversations while I was at the e-board meeting in Visalia. This sort of thing and this attack on our school boards is happening up and down the state, and we need to do our part to fight it. So I'll ask you to join in that effort to fight for both these districts. And, follow up with the links that Corey has provided us. I'm sure he'll be sending out follow-up invites to you all via email. Please do your part on these elections. It's critical. And that is a perfect transition for the e-board report. We state party met in the bustling metropolis of Visalia in the Central Valley last weekend. The temperature Friday and Saturday was north of 105, and then Sunday morning, the outer reaches of Hurricane Hillary started cooling things off, and of course prompted us to have a early general session Sunday morning so people could get back home ahead of the storm. I will send out the floor report to everyone to review at your leisure. The party has adopted the National Convention delegate selection plan. The primary changes was that the date of selection of district level delegates was moved from Saturday, April 20th to Sunday, April 21st to avoid conflicts with the Sabbath. There's movements to include the option of electronic voting for delegates and increase the affirmative action goals for both the African American and LGBTQ members of the delegation to 12% each. The e-board voted to support several pieces of legislation and adopted a wide array of resolutions, just like every other meeting. Again, I will send out the packet for you to review. Finally, there was adoption of bylaws changes to allow electronic voting in pre-endorsing conferences, to codify the practice that the State Rules Committee may recommend that endorsements of a particular county committee be the endorsement of the state party, and made some changes to the process for recognizing caucuses and special groups, and also made some changes to the duties and responsibilities of regional directors, primarily to align them with current practices. Again, I will email this all out to you. In addition to the formal business, I attended the Rural Caucus, which spoke about the issues with insurance facing rural communities as insurers are pulling out of the state, as well as how the rural portions of the state can contribute to the resolving the housing crisis in the state. Those were two very interesting conversations. And also attended the organizing committee, which is focusing, as you might expect, on the 5 Republican congressional seats which they feel are vulnerable in California, and by flipping those, we can help retake the majority in the House. So it was actually a pleasant surprise that Visalia was as good of a location as it was for holding a convention. Despite our early apprehensions, it was a nice compact environment. And so I think it was a productive convention, e-board meeting for those who attended. And that's my report, but I want to throw it open to our others from our committee who attended for their comments. Monica, I see your hands up.
Thanks. I wanted to let everybody know that my son took Dawn and myself over to Martinez to take the San Joaquin train. And then we took a taxi, and then we did Uber. We could taxi back. So just FYI, it can be done to take trains, and we should do as much as we can for things like that. The Wi-Fi was great going down. Coming back, there were way too many kids going to school, and the bandwidth was not quite as strong as it could have been, but not too bad. Trains are good stuff. So I just wanted to let you know that we did our part to help.
Thank you, Glenn.
And you didn't mention that you had a chance to talk to the senator, or the House of Rep, my bad. But we did have Senator Padilla there as a guest speaker.
Yeah, Senator Padilla was there, and Adam Schiff, who we spoke to about his attending events in Solano County. Glenn, do you want to report on your committee?
Sure, yeah. So I was appointed to CDP Finance Committee, and of course, Bridget here, also a member of it. Probably the most substantive item for us to be on the lookout for is at the next meeting, they will be taking on how to develop and finalize the party's operating budget for the coming year. And so I guess just priming everyone that there's going to be implications on that about the party's material support for our elections and organizing operations in 2024. And of course, doing our best, of course, with our local ADEMs who are plugged into other standing committees to have their eyes out on major developments in the other committees, such as organizing committee. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else who attended e-board have anything they wish to add?
Yeah, and then just another for Finance Committee, also just a shout out that the Bradley Deep Blue grant still exists, and for young Dems under 35. So that's something for people to be aware of, and that clubs or individuals can submit, right? Glenn?
That is correct. Yeah, there's the 5,000 to disseminate that will help out efforts with particularly targeted to young Dems, and of course under resourced, underserved communities. And then of course, I guess one other thing I can add to the committee, if it's okay by the chair. I know that there also have been subcommittee created to discuss the implications of waivers, and you know, let me just say, as a committee member, of course, you know, this party represents working class and underserved communities, and so we know that the waivers are used with good reason. And so, you know, hoping that that's a discussion that balances obviously the party's finances with the need to accommodate people to be able to participate in the party. Hence why I'm in the other subcommittee that is committed to try to increase fundraising through other means. Thank you.
Lynette?
Thanks. I'm not sure if you called on me earlier, but my phone is being wonky because I'm doing it from my phone. So I was appointed to credentials, and we just basically verified that you're eligible. And what I learned is for e-board, you have to be either a county committee person when you change your proxy. So proxies at the general convention, kind of pretty much anybody can have anybody's credentials. But if you're an ADEM from your AD has to be the person that gets your credentials. So that was an interesting piece to me, because I just thought you could give it to anybody that you wanted to. So that was it. And just looking forward to November. I'm glad it's in Sacramento. I took the train down, my first time ever being on a train that I can remember ever. And it wasn't bad. It was not bad going down and coming back. And so that was Monica suggested that, and I looked into it, and it was really very reasonable and not bad at all. So that's about it.
All right, thank you. Pivoting from the e-board meeting, I just want to remind folks that the state party's endorsing convention will be in Sacramento, November 17th through 19th. They'll be posting the information about the various hotels and accommodations within the next couple of weeks, but certainly most of us can consider the option of driving to and from that convention, and that'll be where we'll be making our endorsements for everything from Assembly, State Senate, Congress, and U.S. Senate. So it is an important meeting. Remind you all to attend if you are a delegate, and if you are unable to attend, make sure you have a proxy chosen for that. The voting for the pre-endorsement conferences is the weekend of October 21st, 22nd, and those will be virtual. So we will not be having an in-person meeting for those votes. Information will be coming out about that as soon as everything is finalized in the next couple of weeks. So again, for those of you who have clubs who have delegates, club representatives to the pre-endorsing conference, make sure if you've not already done so, finalize your list of representatives and send them in. Okay. I do have one other item. I'm not going to ask for action tonight, but I would like to ask you to consider that given our March primary, we will need to consider whether or not we'll be endorsing in the county supervisors races in the primary, and if so, the timing of those endorsements, because our general process is to wait till the filing period closes and then vote on those endorsements. But we also have a rule that we will try to endorse at least 8 weeks, if I remember my timing correctly, before the election itself, which would put us at the beginning of January. So I'm just going to ask you to consider the options for how we will hold those endorsements if we do, whether we're going to fold those into our holiday party or awards dinner or have a separate special meeting. So please consider the various options, and we'll discuss that in September. Does anyone have anything else they want to raise? I do, one other thing, we are certainly hearing a lot about the Flannery Group and the possibilities of what they may be considering doing with all their property. So I'm just going to ask those of you who are currently monitoring that to please keep monitoring that. And if you feel that there's an action item for the Central Committee to take, please don't hesitate to reach back out and ask to have that on the agenda as well. The various iterations of what they may be doing are, quite frankly, all of them are concerning. And some of them are contrary to longstanding policies in the county regarding urban sprawl. So we certainly want to keep those in mind. Michelle, your hand's up.
Yeah, about that, I talked to Congressman Thompson's office today to get some information in the legislation committee. It came up, so I said I'd call because there was sort of a rumor that Thompson was working on a bill about this, but it turns out he isn't. So I just wanted to update people with that what's going on is that he's doing an investigation along with other Congress people about, what's going on with that. So, and they'll just keep us informed. So, and also the person I spoke to is named Kim Fu. She's a field rep for Solano County. And I just thought it might be a good idea if she could come and speak here and explain to us what her job is so that we can know her. And if we need to get in touch with her, that people would know what to do and how that works.
It's certainly worth considering. Appreciate that suggestion. So does anyone have anything else? Jeanette, sorry, I see your hands up.
Yes, I just want to say that I have met with Kimberly Fu, and she would be very interested, I think. So I wouldn't mind talking to her about it unless someone else wants to, or you're not ready for me to do that yet.
So I talked to Jeanette, that's fine, but I talked to her today about coming and talking to us.
Oh, okay, great. So she is interested in doing that then. So
Yeah,
then,
apparently there's some nuance, it's new to me, about whether it's a campaign event or not. And so she just needs to get kind of clearance from her boss. And but I said this was not a campaign event. This was so she seemed to think it would be fine for her to come and explain to us what she does and how to contact her and all of that.
Yeah, there's definite rules that require a bright line between governmental activity and campaign activity. Monica, your hands up.
Yeah, the reason I would like to discuss it at e-board is that some people don't have Mike Thompson, and so if we're going to be fair, we would need to bring in John Garamendi. So let's discuss it at an e-board. And we've got so much happening in the next couple months. I'm just throwing it out, which is why I want to discuss it at e-board and bring it forward.
Okay. I think that's fair. I know we have a very busy couple of months with the elections and with all the other things that are going on, but this is also an important issue with potential major ramifications for the county. So we'll need to discuss how best to fit it in. Does anyone have anything else for the good of the order? Seeing no hands, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right. And
Yep.
folks, I hope you will carve out some time to help out Dave and our District 6 candidate, whomever he or she may be. And otherwise, have a good rest of your evening. Meeting is adjourned.